Israel Adesanya's UFC career has been fascinating to say the least. I mean, this guy's career trajectory has been an absolute roller coaster. When he first was rising the ranks in the UFC, he was a real fan favorite. He was seen as a good trash talker. He was seen as, I guess, what you would consider a savant when it comes to striking. But as the years have gone on, this has changed. People look at him and they just feel nothing but disdain. And exactly where this change occurred, I don't really know. But for me, it was seeing the video of him with a mouthful of food, and he regurgitated it back into his dog's mouth like a mother bird feeding its chick. I just don't like it, man. I don't like it. That's disgusting. It really, really made me feel just not good, and I think that, to me, that's pretty much it, all right? Adesanya's a fucking weirdo, okay? I don't think that he's actually attracted to animals. I don't think that, but I think he's weird. And I don't like it. I fucking hate it, okay? It gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. But regardless of all of that, he has a fight coming up this weekend against Imavov. And it's crazy to say, but he's only a slight favorite in this matchup. And I think that's surprising, but like I mentioned earlier, people used to view Adesanya like he was a striking savant, but it's just not quite the same anymore. And it's not because he's not an extremely skillful striker. He is, but there is so much film study on Adesanya at this point. He has had so many 5-round championship fights that his game, to me, is outlined very clearly. And at the end of the day, there are some holes he has on the feet. And I think what it comes down to is Adesanya is not a particularly strong boxer, and he's not a great counterpuncher. These are 2 points that I had to hammer home for years before people finally started taking it seriously. And of course, I'm sure a certain number of the population, every single time I say that, goes, no, wait, no, he's countered people before. And what I would say to those people is, nice, that's really cool. That's really cool. That's really good for you, man. All right, just because you have done something before does not mean that that is your strong suit. Of course, if you go out there like Robert Whittaker did in the first fight, and you're just winging these wild overhands way out of range, and you're missing, and you're ending up way out of position, yeah, I mean, you can't gift Adesanya something. He'll take it, all right? But I mean, just because Conor McGregor wrestle-fucked Max Holloway that one time does not mean that he's a strong wrestler, okay? And when you watch pretty much every single Israel Adesanya fight that he's ever had, what you're going to see is when guys would rush at him with punches, he was not slipping and then making them pay with a devastating 4-punch combination in the pocket. No, that's just not his game. What he would do is slide away, back to range, where he would jab you and he would leg kick you from far away. All right, that's just what he does. And when you look at the Sean Strickland fight in particular, that was the fight that we really realized, like, oh shit, Adesanya just can't box. I mean, he's just not very good in that area. Sean Strickland's defense is off the charts. It just is, right? He completely shut down Adesanya's kicking game, and he pressured the fuck out of him. And that forced Adesanya to have to box. It was the only thing there for him, and he just couldn't do it. He was just getting walked down. He was getting jabbed constantly. Adesanya was trying to land, but Strickland would just do his patented lean back, dodging everything, which eventually started forcing Adesanya to have to start overextending. He was missing badly. He was getting countered. And again, right, that is the fight that we realized he's not a very strong boxer. I mean, he's just not. And then you look at Nassourdine Imavov, and he is a very good boxer. His hand speed is very, very fast. He has very good combinations. In the pocket, he legitimately blows Adesanya away, just skill for skill in the boxing. So, with that being said, maybe it does make sense why he's only a very slight underdog against Adesanya. Well, look, right, I understand why it might sound like I'm belittling Israel Adesanya when I talk about the fact that his boxing is not very strong, that all he does is slide away and jab and leg kick. I understand how it sounds, because I absolutely am belittling him. But I do want to be fair here. He is very, 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 very good from kicking range. I mean, he just is. There's no way getting around that, all right? From distance, he is an absolute bitch to beat for anybody. And there's a few very particular things you have to have in order to beat him. You have to be able to shut down Adesanya's straight shots down the middle, his jabs, his 1-2s, and you have to shut down his kicking game. Of course, Sean Strickland was able to do this because, one, his boxing defense is arguably the best in the UFC, and of course, his leg kick defense is absolutely phenomenal, and because he was walking Adesanya down and constantly putting him on the back foot, that is what completely neutered his high kicks. Dricus Du Plessis was able to do this via his durability. He was just rushing at Adesanya, and of course Adesanya, like we mentioned, is not going to find his counters. He's just going to try to slide away, which allowed Dricus just to keep rushing over and over and over again until he started finding success. And of course, his durability allowed him to tank pretty much all of Adesanya's offense, which Adesanya actually did show a lot of improvements in that fight. He had been working on his pure boxing ever since the Sean Strickland fight, and against Dricus, he was doing a really good job ripping to the body, landing more diverse combinations, but it didn't really matter. Dricus ate a lot of clean shots, but he frankly just tanked all of it. I'm sure it didn't feel good, but obviously, it wasn't enough to really hurt him. So now we look at Nassourdine, and we already know in the pocket he's going to be the way cleaner boxer. If they were fighting in a phone booth, I would be spamming the Imavov money line, but they're not. So, can he close the distance effectively? Is he going to be able to deal with Adesanya's kicking game or his straight shots down the middle? Look, based on what we've seen, no, I don't think he is going to be able to do that. Now, again, there is so much film study on Adesanya that at this point, it is no secret what his game is. It is no secret what he's going to be looking to do. It is very, very possible that Imavov and his team in camp are working on a very, very specialized approach for this fight. But if we're judging him based on his last fights, which that is really all we can do, he does not deal with leg kicks well at all. He is very susceptible to straight shots. He's very susceptible to jabs. And I think it comes down to a few reasons why. For one, Imavov stands very, very bladed. He kind of stands like a karate fighter, all right? He's practically sideways. And because of that, he has eaten a lot of clean leg kicks during his time. I mean, look, Brandon Allen landed a good amount of leg kicks. Jared Cannonier had a lot of success landing leg kicks. And of course, the other issue I see for Imavov is he is very hittable. He's very susceptible to the jab, and that is because for being such a strong boxer, he does not have a very long reach at all. He only has a 75-inch reach. Compare that to Adesanya's 80-inch reach. For Imavov to have success, he needs to be standing right in front of you in the pocket, right? And he is very technical. He does have good slips and good counters, but in order to build those reads, he needs to be essentially standing right in front of you throwing. And because of that, I mean, you look at the Jared Cannonier fight. The first 2 rounds of that fight, he was so susceptible to his jabs and his twos. And again, right, eventually, he timed it perfectly, slipped, and landed a beautiful counter shot that actually really hurt Cannonier. But again, he ate a lot of shots prior to that. Based on Adesanya's game, these are just 2 massive weaknesses that is absolutely going to be difficult to overcome. Of course, though, Imavov is probably going to have his opportunities to do really good work here, and it's going to come down to the fact that he just needs to walk Adesanya down. If he just rushes at Adesanya with punches, we know he's going to try to slide away, but because of his length, his height, his reach, it is going to be difficult to track him down. But if you can get him backed up to the fence is where I think Imavov can do his best work. There have been multiple moments, one in the Jared Cannonier fight and one in the second Robert Whittaker fight, where they were able to back Adesanya up to the fence, but weirdly enough, they elected to just back away and allow Adesanya to move back to space. And I just couldn't believe what I was seeing there. All right, I just couldn't believe it. And of course, now that I'm saying this, I'm sure at least one person goes, no, Actually, Israel Adesanya, if you didn't realize, is a specialist with his back up against the fence. Did you see what he did to Alex Pereira? And what I would say to that is no. I would just say no. Obviously, right, genius move by Adesanya to play possum the way he did. Alex Pereira thought that he was finished, just started unloading on Adesanya, wasn't worried about defense. He practically runs into an overhand. Yeah, fucking obviously you're not going to do that. Obviously you're not going to throw an 8-punch combination not worrying about defense. But the last place you want to be fighting Adesanya is at range. If you get him up against the fence, I want a simple 3-punch combination. Rip to the body, try to land a shot upstairs. And to me, that is absolutely what Imavov needs to do. Just try to walk Adesanya down, get in his face. That's going to be really the one way I think he could kind of negate Adesanya's kicking game. If he can pressure him to the fence, that's where the fast hands in the pocket is really going to open up. But if he doesn't do that, and if this fight ends up being at range, it's just going to be a very difficult stylistical matchup for Imavov. Again, right, it is no secret what Adesanya's game is, all right? There's so much film study on him. We all know what he's going to do. Any competent coach can outline Adesanya's game perfectly. So, again, I'm going to be very interested to see what kind of approach Imavov takes to this fight, because obviously on paper there are some issues for him, but again, you would assume that he's going to be very, very well prepared for it. I think there are some paths to victory for Imavov here, but again, all I can do is base this fight off what we've seen from them in their past fights, and because of that, I am going to have to lean towards Adesanya to win this one. But do not be surprised if we see Imavov just put on a masterclass where he just has the answer to every single strength Adesanya has. Because, again, it's no secret. It is all out there, and I'm very curious to see how this fight plays out.